It has once again been a real doozy of a week, PU, and not a very fun one. Just bad vibes all around. And the vibes here aren't much better, but today we've at least got some stories that might briefly distract us from all that other stuff. And let's begin by just leaving the United States entirely.
Oh, thank God.
And heading over to Hungary.
No.
For some ESPN 8 the Ocho style action. Occupational skills competitions have been getting bigger and bigger in recent years, whether it's people competing to be the best at forklift operation, Excel spreadsheets, cutting down trees, or a seemingly endless list of other activities people usually do for work, but in this case do for glory, prestige, and maybe a little bit of money.
But mainly it's the bragging rights.
These competitions tend to skew more modern in terms of the skills that they showcase. But over in Hungary, they recently held the World Cup for one of the oldest professions in human history. No, not the one you're thinking of.
Oh.
It's grave digging, not prostitution, grave digging.
I was right there with whoring, and you just had to take all the wind out of my sails.
That's probably coming one of these days.
Yeah, it's got to be the next biggest competition.
I mean, every couple months, some OnlyFans girl does like the world's biggest gangbang, and it's gross, but I'm like, yeah, you win the award, I guess.
Someone's got to do it.
Congratulations.
Now, for grave digging, though, it is a competition, and they're holding it. And as long as humans have existed, they have eventually died and left behind bodies that spread disease, attract predators, and aren't nice to look at.
Or smell.
To deal with that, human societies figured out that burying the bodies several feet underground was a great way to make those problems just go away. And that remains true to this very day. Here in the U.S., grave digging is increasingly done with the help of heavy equipment like excavators. But digging graves by hand with just a shovel is still the primary way that bodies get buried throughout much of the world. And if you've ever had to dig a hole, you know that it is very hard work. Looks like a lot of fun, then you start digging. And it's still fun.
And you better do it right or your back's going to be feeling it.
Yeah. Making matters worse, the angel of death makes no exceptions for bad weather, so gravediggers need to be ready to break ground regardless of whether the ground is frozen solid or saturated with rain. The bodies need to be buried, and time is of the essence.
Yeah. So here's where we come in with the World Cup of grave digging. Here's the Telegraph. A small Hungarian city has hosted the World Cup of grave digging, a contest dedicated to the somber art of shoveling 6 feet under. Spade-wielding gravediggers from Serbia, the Czech Republic, and Russia traveled to the city of, oh God, Zextard to join a field of 17 Hungarians lining up to test their skills and their backs against each other. Once a purely national competition, its popularity has stretched beyond Hungary's borders to attract an international field for the second time. The contest was held at, oh God, Alsovar Cemetery in Szeged on September 6th and was organized by the Hungarian Cemetery Managers and Operators Association. The winners were rewarded with coveted gold, silver, and bronze trophies in the shape of shovels.
Yeah, good.
As cheering fans watched on. Woo! Joseph Varga, the president of the association, said, "This competition is not only a professional competition, but also an opportunity for interested segments of society to learn about and recognize the gravedigger profession."
So you're just digging a big hole, right?
That's right.
Well, I learned a lot today.
A big, important hole.
I hope to be in one of those holes one of these
You might look like a simple hole, but without these holes, society collapses very quickly.
And it makes people second guess whether or not they want to be cremated, because then you're putting these lovely competitors out of job.
Yeah.
These athletes.
We got these gods among men. The participants demonstrate not only their physical strength, but also their precision and spiritual presence.
Yeah, you got to have good graveside manner.
Yeah.
You can't just be digging the hole all violently and quick. You got to have a little bit of care that goes into it.
You drive by a typical work site and you see a bunch of guys mouthing off, whistling at ladies, getting drunk in the daytime.
Not the gravediggers.
Can't do that at the cemetery.
And just like with, any routine in the Olympics, they probably get some bonus points for flourish and for, doing things exactly by the book. And you would see this and you'd say, okay, they took a time to do a little prayer, and that's going to get some bonus points because you're going to want to be buried in one of the blessed holes.
And that's why they get first dibs on all the loot hidden inside the coffin.
That's right.
I'm just wondering if anyone saw an advertisement for this in the newspaper and thought, what? Gravedigger? Coming to our town? I've always wanted to attend a monster jam.
Yeah.
Where is he? Where is it?
All right, well, this was still kind of entertaining, but it's no monster truck rally.
Sunday. We've got Gravedigger.
Yeah.
And Gravedigger. Also featuring Gravedigger. It's all Gravedigger.
It would be a good crossover because they could use all the dirt that they excavated the graves with to build ramps for the
Yeah, I
monster
mean,
truck.
Gravedigger is going to need, if it's just flat ground, that's no fun. It's just driving around. We've been in the back of Gravedigger. It's fun, but
Yeah.
the ramps, you need the ramps. How's he going to do the backflip on flat ground?
Harkening back to the 80s, what they should do here with the actual people digging actual graves is they did back in the 80s, they did, it was Sergeant Slaughter and his team of goons. They did a tug of war with Bigfoot the monster truck.
Yeah.
And I think the actual grave diggers here should compete against some heavy machinery operated by one guy, but then you get like 4 or 5 grave diggers and see who can actually do the most accurate.
Well, that's the thing, though, is like you can't really fit more than like 2 guys in a grave. 4 guys in a grave, how are you going to shovel? How are you going to do that?
Well, that's the competition, Elliot. Are you a bad enough team to take on a piece of heavy machinery?
I mean, I feel like the machine would clearly...
Yeah, and so did Bigfoot, okay?
Yeah.
But it's for the fun of the sport.
It is.
Yeah,
But it
really gets the people going.
it's a sort of John Henry sort of situation.
They could have a thing where the guy's like, oh, and he screws up while he's trying to dig. They can make a whole thing out of it.
They could. Well,
Maybe for the next halftime show.
yeah.
Anyways, it continues. Preparations for the burial battle had begun. The burial battle had begun weeks earlier to ensure the conditions were perfect before the event was opened by Peter Mate, the southern city's deputy mayor. Competitors had to dig a grave that was 1.6 meters deep, 80 centimeters wide, and 2 meters long, a total of 2.5 cubic meters of soil in 2 hours. Okay, well, that you could just measure by soil instead of having everyone go down into the grave.
Okay.
Yeah, now we got a competition on our hands.
All right, yeah.
The contestants then had to backfill the grave in just 15 minutes. Damn. It was not just a race against the clock and a trial of strength, however. The judges also evaluated the accuracy of the grave's dimensions before handing out prizes. The championship title was won for the 3rd time by Laszlo Kiss and Robert Nagy. The Hungarians from, oh boy, Hajdu Bazarmani,
Cool.
Hajdu Bazarmani, posted a time of 1 hour, 33 minutes, and 20 seconds, defending their first place.
That's so fucking fast to dig an entire grave and then fill it back in.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
They credited their victory to the practice acquired carrying out their work as gravediggers and claimed not to have done any extra training before the contest.
I mean, why would they? This is their fucking job.
Yeah, that's the thing is you get
I
some
train
guy
every day of my goddamn life.
You get some guy who just saw the flyer down on an old telephone
Yeah, I
pole
can do that.
and shows up, and these guys are doing it every day. They got that built-in strength
It is crazy
from
because like
years of hard work.
there was like a little while back where I did have to dig some holes, and yeah, it is backbreaking fucking labor. It sucks. And all these guys in the pictures, they're all like 50-year-old like schlubs. Look like they come home from work and drink like 3 to 6
They have
beers.
4 arms the size of your thighs, Elliot.
And these are elite athletes. Digging a hole that big in 90 minutes that's crazy work. And it's truly impressive.
We used to do this for BMX jumps out in the woods.
Yeah?
Dig all day and then fill up and make giant jumps. Sometimes chop down some trees
That's
to
probably-
use the fill for the...
Chop trees down?
Sure.
Oh, damn. Must have been very satisfying once you had it all set up.
Oh, yeah, it was great.
Was this a crime?
Probably, but we were like, this is like when I was 10.
How are you chopping down trees at 10 years old? With a hatchet?
With an axe.
With an axe?
Yeah, we would all go out in the woods with everyone's father's tools and just get to work on things.
Cool.
You can't commit a crime if you don't know that it exists.
I'm sorry, officer. I'm a child.
What are you going to do? Arrest me?
I haven't gotten to the chapter in social studies about laws and
Yeah.
consequences for breaking them, so you can't actually do anything.
There was never any issues.
Also, you're welcome for the sick course we just built.
Well, yeah, they would come bulldoze it after a while once they realized that people were going back there and doing stuff.
It's probably because, like, the more time these kids spend in the woods building ramps and shit, the less time they're like stealing and
Yeah.
getting up to other degenerates.
They know that idle hands are the devil's dingling.
Yeah, give the kids. I mean, this is like you go to the beach. It's crazy. We have the children yearn for the mines, and it's never more clear than when you're at the beach and there's always one dad there with like an actual fucking shovel.
Yeah. Going
And
nuts.
literally just digging a hole for no reason.
Because it's
And-
fun.
And all the little boys from across the beach, they come over and they take a look at the hole and they're entranced by it.
Yeah. We could start a pretty good business instead of like the Willy Wonka chocolate factory experience. You just get a bunch of dirt and sand and you're like, all right, we buried like a couple of lock boxes filled with cash.
Yeah.
Like, and if you find it, you get to keep it. So go nuts and then let people pay in.
I think the solution to the male loneliness epidemic might just be like getting all the lonely dudes together and telling them to dig a hole somewhere together. That could be it.
Take the weapons of war out of the hands of the male youth today and give them heavy machinery to operate instead.
Well, let's start with shovels and then, get the proper certifications before we start letting them operate excavators and backhoes. But I like where your head's at.
Yeah. Stop dealing dope and start getting a forklift certification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The forklift, they do have like the Ocho version, like the forklift competitions, and they do crazy shit. It's like super fucking impressive.
Oh yeah, the whole place that I thought you were taking this immediately when the episode started was the window tinting competitions that have been.
Oh, those are
online.
amazing. Yeah,
yeah. I'm just like, this is a person who's perfected their craft, and they're finally getting not only to show it off, but compete against other people who are incredible at this, like very specific.
These aren't just workers; these are artisans.
And the commentators
we don't appreciate their craft
exactly.
And it's time we start.
You just say, "Okay, job well done," and
you don't know
about
it.
Yeah.
Anyway, despite some Russians being allowed to compete in this, even though they're banned from most international competitions, the Russian team came in dead last, and apparently they were big sore losers about it, complaining that the weather was too hot. Sorry, Boris.
Yeah.
But all the other gravediggers competed in the same weather conditions as you, and everyone else did better than you. Just take the L, Russia. Take the L. Give up.
But speaking of death, and possibly Russians, though it's a bit unclear, our next story is not a fun one, but it is very unusual and might be a very morbid world record. It's hard to find any information on who the oldest person to ever commit a murder was, but there's a decent chance it's a 95-year-old woman in Brooklyn who recently decided, seemingly at random, to beat her nursing home roommate to death with parts from her wheelchair.
You're never too old to commit your first brutal murder.
Okay, wow. Here's NBC New York. An 89-year-old woman living at a senior housing facility in Brooklyn was bludgeoned to death with a wheelchair part by a fellow resident who has dementia, sources with knowledge of the probe say. The police sources say Nina Kravstov was killed Sunday night when an argument broke out between two women at the Seagate Rehabilitation and Nursing Center in Brooklyn. The attack happened steps away from the beach inside the nursing center. The elderly victim was struck repeatedly over the head with a metal piece of the chair by a 95-year-old with dementia, according to those sources. Medics arrived and took Kravstov to Lutheran Hospital, where she later died. The 95-year-old suspect is not currently facing charges because of her cognitive condition, authorities close to the investigation say. Sources say she may have had dementia. And yeah, I mean, like, what are you going to do? It's like, they didn't know that they were doing that, really. Also, they're 95. Like,
I mean, it's that old Nick Swartzen.
They're already in a rehabilitation center.
The old Nick Swartzen joke. Like, when you're old, they let you do it.
Well, didn't they take that one guy's medal away for running while on performance-enhancing drugs?
Oh, yeah.
We sided with him, though.
Yeah, I mean,
you should be able to do whatever you want after a certain age.
Yeah, he was just compensating for a handicap, being extremely old.
That's right.
But this is murder. This isn't getting a slight edge in athletic competition.
Unless she dug the hole for the person she killed and at a speed that was impressive to the judges.
Yeah, if she had done that, it would have been fair game.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously this is awful stuff, especially for the family of the victim, who probably assumed that putting her in a nursing home would be the safest way for her to spend her final years. And like, oh, what's the worst happen? She'll, like, I don't know, slip and fall, but there'll be orderlies around to take care of her.
Maybe she'll wander off. Who knows?
What do you, murder? I don't think so. But yeah, crazy. But legally speaking, what the hell do you even do here?
I have no idea.
When someone commits a brutal murder, you haul them straight to jail. But what about when it's a 95-year-old woman who has dementia and might not even be fully cognizant of what she's doing? I mean, according to the article, you don't do anything. But that was Tuesday, and it sounds like by Wednesday, the cops decided that, no, actually, being extremely old and feeble is not a get-out-of-jail-free card.
We're going to make an example out of it.
Yeah, they're never turned down an opportunity to
have an open and shut case.
Yeah. A 95-year-old woman was arrested and charged with murder after using part of a wheelchair to bludgeon a fellow resident at a Brooklyn senior housing facility to death, police said. In addition to murder, Galina Smirnova was charged Tuesday with weapon possession, police said, for the death of 89-year-old Nina Kravstov at the Seagate Rehabilitation and Nursing Center in Coney Island on Sunday. Smirnova was arraigned Wednesday and remanded. Prosecutors had asked for a mental health examination, which her lawyer opposed. The judge recommended Smirnova be held at Bellevue.
And they provide some details on what the hell actually happened here. Police sources said Kravtsov was killed after she got into an argument with Smirnova. The elderly victim was struck repeatedly over the head with a metal piece of the chair, allegedly by Smirnova, who sources say may have had dementia. According to a criminal complaint, Kravtsov was found dead, bloodied in her bed during an evening bed check. Those occur hourly, and the complaint says Kravtsov was fine asleep at the prior check. When nursing home staff found Kravtsov dead, they discovered her roommate, Smirnova, in the bathroom washing blood off her hands. Blood allegedly covered her gown, too, and a bloody pedal was recovered outside, below the window, where prosecutors alleged the 95-year-old woman threw that part of the murder weapon.
Oh, some real dementia brain shit. I gotta get rid of the murder weapon. I will simply drop it right out the window.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just need to get, wash all this blood that is covering my entire body. And, it could have been anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been anyone who committed this.
That's my blood.
It's my blood.
And
so
in case you're wondering, it definitely sounds like the victim's family is thinking about suing the facility, which, Here's NBC News.
Kravtsov was from a small town in Ukraine and survived Hitler's invasion and the Holocaust. Quote, she ended up in a ghetto with a number of her other family members. She was designated for a concentration camp, but ended up, by the grace of God, not ending up in the concentration camp, said Randy Zelen, an attorney representing Kravtsov's family. You have this woman who has survived the Holocaust and has beaten the odds. She's supposed to be cared for and protected and looked after, and instead she ends up with her head and her face bashed in to the point she was unrecognizable, Zelen said. Zelen said he believes Smirnova, a dementia patient, had been in the facility for just 48 hours and was placed in the same room as Kravtsov because both spoke Russian.
Here you go. Here's a friend.
A Russian, a Ukrainian.
Yeah.
Sounds like they'll get along just great. Video at the facility showed no other people entered or exited room 333 from 8:55 p.m. to 9:55 p.m., except when medical personnel briefly entered and observed Smirnova, the complaint said. Zelen said Kravtsov's family got only an initial report from Seagate about the incident and have not received any apology or further information.
Come on. They can't apologize because then to be admitting guilt.
Yeah, our lawyers told us to just
ignore you.
Yeah, just kind of ghost you.
Actually,
about
not
this.
sorry.
Yeah. Officially, not sorry, because you'd only be sorry for something you were responsible for.
So to be on record, we are not sorry that your parent or grandparent died.
Uh-huh. Officially, sorry, not sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know what happens now. Like, this is 90. If she even lives to go to trial?
Yeah.
But like, how do you try this woman? If she
it's
doesn't
gonna
know
be
what
tough
the
with
hell's
the
going
dementia
on.
thing, especially just like without even the age part. It's
this is like when Junior Soprano shot Tony.
This will be a very big precedent-setting case because as people age and live longer, this won't be the last.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyways, that's just awful for everyone involved. And hey, we've seen comments from some of you asking us for please, to the love of God, try to shove some good news in between the various horrors. And today, we actually have the perfect palate cleanse for that story. It also involves old, angry women at a nursing home, but no murder.
Thank you.
Over in Austria, a group of elderly Catholic nuns were forced into retirement a few years back by church authorities and sent against their wishes to a nursing home when they'd have preferred to live out their days at the convent. And after a while, they decided they couldn't take it. They decided to take matters into their own hands.
Yeah, fuck this shit.
And setting up a great premise for an upcoming comedy movie, I'm sure.
I hope so.
Yeah, Nuns on the Run. Here's the BBC.
3 Austrian nuns in their 80s have run away from the retirement home where they were placed and gone back to their former convent. Sister Bernadette, 88, Sister Regina, 86, and Sister Rita, 82, the youngest of the 3,
Yeah. They call her Baby Rita.
are the last 3 nuns at the Kloster Goldenstein convent in Elsbethen, just outside Salzburg. They regained access with the help of former students and a locksmith. Church authorities are not happy, but the nuns are. I am so pleased to be home, Sister Rita said. I was always homesick at the care home. I am so happy and thankful to be back. The trio say they were taken out of the convent against their will in December 2023. We weren't asked, Sister Bernadette said. We had the right to stay here until the end of our lives, and that was broken.
Damn, they explain how long these 3 nuns had been living there before getting the boot, and yeah, safe to say we'd all be pissed. Because one of them started out all the way back in 1948 as a teenager, Another arrived in 1958, and the third one in 1962. They've been in it for the long haul.
I think they've earned the right to just die in the place they've lived for like 80 fucking years.
That is a very long time to live somewhere. And even when the number of nuns dwindled to the point that their community was officially dissolved, they were told they could keep on living there as long as they wanted. But that turned out to be a lie, and they were forced into a nursing home, which is bullshit, and they weren't going to take this lying down. They were going to fly away with those nun wings that come off of their hats. The flying nuns.
Yep, that's right.
Everybody knows the flying nuns. The article continues. At the beginning of September, Sister Bernadette, Sister Rita, and Sister Regina moved back, helped by a group of former students. I have been obedient all my life, but it was too much, Sister Bernadette said. They packed up a few belongings and came back to the convent. The locks to their former apartments had been changed, so a locksmith was called.
Jesus, forgive me, but I need to go all out just this one time.
I'm going to bust this fucking lock off the door.
When they first arrived, there was no electricity or water. In a statement, Provost Grazel said the nuns' decision to return to the convent was completely incomprehensible and an escalation.
Oh, shut up.
The rooms in the convent are no longer usable and in no way meet the requirements for proper care, he said. He said the nuns' precarious health conditions meant that independent living at Goldenstein Convent was no longer possible. Grazel said the old people's home had provided them with absolutely essential professional and good medical care. Well, guess what, buddy? Sounds like these nuns had other plans.
Listen to your elders.
Yeah, despite clearly being old as shit, they decided what they were going to do, and they did it. And they did it with the help and support of a bunch of other people. So what are you going to do about that, huh? You're going to snatch these old ladies out of their beds?
Well, they already did it, I guess.
I mean, I think the nuns won. And it's just nice to hear a story about nuns not going down to the casino and squandering all of their church or school's money.
Yeah.
Which we've covered like a few stories of that. And I believe my wife, the Catholic school that she grew up going to, recently shut down in the middle of the school year. And it sounds like it might have been another case of nuns like embezzling tuition money and like getting it to the point where they had to like literally cease operations immediately.
They love gambling, these nuns.
They do. They got nothing else to do.
Well, they took a gamble on going to the retirement home and they did not win. They wanted to go right back.
They spun the wheel and said, no, I'd like another spin. And they took it.
Now when they try to get kicked out, they're going to fight back because they've already been fooled once. When they fight back, they're going to go, boom, house wins. Boom.
Yeah.
Nun house.
Like those boxing nuns, those puppets. Remember those? Yeah.
There's lots of good pop culture nun references.
There are. Sister Act 2. I wonder why that hasn't been rebooted yet. I'm sure it's somewhere in the works.
Sure. Anyways, back to America now with some news about how the FBI is doing under the fearless leadership of podcaster Kash Patel. Recent events have made it pretty clear that the Bureau is in complete disarray and being run by idiots, but we're not going to talk about that whole thing today. We're going to look at a completely unrelated incident of FBI incompetence, one that nearly resulted in the deaths of a bunch of puppies and kittens, as well as the unsung heroes who care for them. Here's the AP. A cloud of smoke from 2 pounds of methamphetamine seized by the FBI and incinerated inside a Montana animal shelter sent its workers to the hospital, city officials in Billings said. The smoke started to fill the building during a drug burn on Wednesday, apparently because of negative pressure that sucked it back inside, Billings Assistant City Administrator Kevin Iflin said Friday. A fan was supposed to be on hand in such situations to reverse the pressure so smoke would flow out of the building. But Iflin said it wasn't readily available. They dealt with a backdraft?
Hey, yeah, they got a backdraft.
I haven't seen that movie in a while. I should watch it again.
Why haven't they remade that yet? I'm sure they're working on it.
They are definitely working on it, yeah.
The incinerator is used primarily to burn carcasses of animals euthanized or collected by the city's Animal Control Division. But every couple of months, local law enforcement or FBI agents use it to burn seized narcotics, Iflin said. 14 workers from the nonprofit Yellowstone Valley Animal Shelter evacuated and went to the hospital. The shelter's 75 dogs and cats were relocated or put into foster homes, said Ifland and shelter director Trinity Halverson. The shelter shares space with Billings Animal Control Division. When smoke started filling parts of the building, Halverson assumed it was from burning carcasses because she said they had never known about the drug burns.
Yep, just burning some animals. Standard practice.
Halverson said she had a very intense headache and sore throat, and others had dizziness, sweating, and coughing. Not a party, she said. The workers found out it was methamphetamine smoke through a call from a city official while they were at the hospital, Halverson said. Most of the staff spent several hours in an oxygen chamber for treatment. Symptoms have lingered for some workers, Halverson said. They also were closely monitoring 4 litters of kittens that got more heavily exposed because they were in a closed room with lots of smoke, she said. The FBI routinely uses outside facilities to conduct controlled drug evidence burns, agency spokesperson Sandra Barker said. She referred further questions to Billings officials.
And not only did the FBI almost kill a bunch of animals and people by throwing 2 pounds of meth in an incinerator and failing to make sure it was operating correctly, this has also forced the animal shelter to remain closed while they try and figure out just how contaminated the building is. Because they essentially turned it into a meth house.
And those are hard to remediate.
Gonna be some crazy kittens.
Yeah, those are meth kittens.
Mm-hmm.
Heard of meth babies? Well, we got meth kittens now.
Mm-hmm.
It was not an ethical experiment to intentionally do, but now I hope they observe.
My cat has disassembled and tried to reassemble my bicycle, and it doesn't work anymore. It happens every week.
My cat keeps stealing large pieces of metal and taking them down to the scrapyard.
None of the street lights work. Damn cat. Locals are apparently pretty upset about this, especially since, as one pointed out, Montana has plenty of empty space to dispose of illegal drugs without putting the local animal shelter in mortal danger.
It's empty. The state is empty.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, great job, Cash. Another slam dunk. But we do have one politics story to cover today, and it is arguably the most evil member of a truly all-star evil administration. It's a story that first came to our attention via this headline from the Daily Beast. White House insists Stephen Miller does not play with dolls. Okay, I wasn't questioning it before, but now I'm a little bit curious as to whether or not Stephen Miller actually does play with dolls.
Yeah, it's very specific.
I mean, just knowing Stephen Miller as long as we have, it would not be very surprising to learn that he engages in some strange behavior in private. And Trump even apparently refers to him as Weird Steven behind his back.
Get me Weird Steven.
But this is a very specific accusation for the White House to be directly refuting.
Yeah, it turns out it stems from a Rolling Stone article published last Sunday that was much more in-depth than just rumors about Stephen Miller playing with dolls, but still largely about just how disliked he is by everyone around him. And here is the relevant section. Jason Islas, who first met Miller at Lincoln Middle School in Santa Monica, says he and Miller and a third friend were a tight-knit band of outsiders who spent middle school doing preteen boy stuff like talking about Star Trek. Islas remembers Miller as a big Captain Kirk fan. That all changed, though, in the summer of 1999, between 8th and 9th grades, when Islas says Miller informed him they couldn't be friends anymore. One of the things he did say was that he didn't like the fact that I'm of Latin heritage, Islas recalls. Jesus. In the decades that followed, Miller did not grow, except to become more hardened in his extremist views. When he worked as a communications aide in the office of Alabama Senator Jeff Sessions during the Obama years, he was so widely disliked by his conservative colleagues on Capitol Hill, the Republican staff in other offices would invent or spread malicious rumors about Miller, such as that he likes to play with porcelain dolls. A White House official insists that any such characterization of his time on the Hill is inaccurate and baseless gossip. The staffers at the time never dreamed that he'd ever amount to much more than a punchline or an obscure cautionary tale of what happens when you read too many far-right hate websites and dive into Washington's most feverish swamps.
All right, so a lot more going on there than just rumors about Stephen Miller playing with dolls, and not just dolls, porcelain dolls, which is extra weird.
The weirdest kind of doll to play with. They're for looking at, not playing with.
He subsists on a diet of Fabergé eggs.
He taps the dolls together, clink, clink.
But the article is mainly about how Stephen Miller is the most powerful and influential unelected member of this administration and is the brain behind all of the cruelest policies of Trump 2.0, particularly with regards to ICE's raids in concentration camps and the deployment of troops and federal agents to terrorize major left-leaning cities. But he also just sucks on a personal level. And here's some more of that. Miller, who is Jewish, has been denounced by his own uncle as a one-man betrayal of Jewish moral and political values. Miller has long held the deepest admiration for the Immigration Act of 1924 and wishes to bring America back to those days. The law is notorious for making the Holocaust deadlier for Jews who tried to flee the Nazis, only to be denied safe passage to the U.S. One conversational victim of his recounts to Rolling Stone what it was like to get hit on by a premarital Miller circa 2017 at a bar not far from DuPont Circle. The story involves being grilled about which country was named on the collar of her clothing, don't say China, and getting accused of being a globalist because she wasn't the right kind of conservative.
This is just typical negging.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm Steven.
Female strangers aren't the only ones in Washington who think he's weird. Over the years of their close working relationship, President Trump, ever the gossipy mean girl with a nuclear arsenal, has not shied away from insulting Miller behind his back. According to two sources with direct knowledge of the matter, Trump has commented to others in the past about Miller's intense, awkward, and at times off-putting demeanor.
Weird Steven, we call him.
Mm-hmm.
He's weird.
Yeah. Hey, what the hell's wrong with that guy?
Makes Elon Musk seem normal.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that's the guy who's essentially running the country. And it sounds like figures like Kristi Noem, Pete Hegseth, and Tom Homan basically work for him and do his bidding, as evil as they might be on their own.
Yeah.
He's the one pulling the strings. And yeah, not doing his bidding apparently results in getting chewed out pretty badly, with multiple federal government sources saying in the article that they had cried at work after being berated by Miller.
Ew, don't make this guy make you cry. Boo.
Honestly, it would be a huge improvement if Stephen Miller's main quirk was playing with dolls and not propelling the country headfirst into fascism.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Trump's in England right now. Everyone there seems pretty unhappy about that, and they've made it so he can't really go anywhere without seeing giant images of himself with Jeffrey Epstein.
The world's largest image.
Sometimes they got it projected on like a big castle.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did it, but they printed out like the world's largest photo, absolutely massive, and they had it like on the ground so you could see it from his plane.
And every speaking appearance that Trump has done over there is just, he's asleep at the wheel.
Melania is like Carmen Sandiego with that big ass hat of hers, trying not to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, the U.S.-UK relations have never been stronger. Tell you what.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, hopefully he's having a really bad time. If there's any more from that to cover, we'll be on it next week. But that's enough politics for today. It's all weird from here on out.
Yeah, now click the like button.
Yeah.
Do it now.
Anyway, we've got the headlines half of the show coming right up. But first, it's time to let you know that this episode is sponsored by Factor.
That's right.
Fall always feels like a reset. Between back to school, busier routines, and shorter days, finding time to cook can be tough. That's why we love Factor. Their chef-prepped, dietitian-approved meals make it easy to stay on track and enjoy something comforting and delicious no matter how hectic the season gets. More variety, more meals. Choose from a wider selection of weekly meal options, including premium seafood choices like salmon and shrimp at no extra cost. Support your wellness goals. Enjoy even more GLP-1 friendly meals and new Mediterranean diet options packed with protein and good-for-you fats. I love the Mediterranean diet.
I'm a big fan of their penne alla vodka.
Penne alla vodka is that's a goat sauce, I'd say.
Savor global flavors. For the first time, try Asian-inspired meals with bold flavors influenced by China, Thailand, and more. For more choices to better nutrition, that's why 97% of customers say that Factor helped them live a healthier life. Feel the difference, no matter what your routine. We eat them. I'm having one tonight. I had one for lunch. They're good stuff. So eat smart at factormeals.com/weeklyweird50 off and use our code weeklyweird50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for a year. The most important meal of the day for free. That's code weeklyweird50 off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. Offer is only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase.
Yeah. And now it's time for the headlines. Half of the show.
They're crazy. They're weird. They're coming at you right now, starting with
scuba-clad man robs Disney Springs restaurant, swims away.
The perfect crime.
I mean, it is.
It's crazy because, like, this is all, again, this is in
the middle of the state.
This is a swamp.
This is Orlando.
This is like a man-made lake.
Yeah, they put a bunch of, like, fake lakes there to give it some ambiance.
Well, they took all of the dirt that was used from those lakes was used to build the parks and the entertainment area like this.
Because otherwise, Orlando is like one of the more depressing places.
It's just swampland
in America. It's like, ooh, Florida, the beach. Nope.
Middle of the state.
None of that.
What makes this risky is like, yeah, there's like risk versus reward here. It's a lake with like gators all over the place.
Orlando, it might not be by the ocean, might not be all that wet, but they do have the gators. So this is a bold crime.
And to the scuba divers' credit, no one was going to expect this.
They never expect you to pop up out of the water in full scuba gear and say,
give me that
money.
I would hand it over.
And I mean, this guy might be dead.
We don't know.
It might have been like one of those Alcatraz escapes where they're like, yeah, they got eaten by sharks.
Yeah.
But yeah, very,
there's no sharks, but gators. Yeah.
Right. predators.
Mhm.
But yeah, very not a cool crime, but a clever crime.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never expect a scuba diver
They definitely went over the top or under the water.
under the water.
Yeah. Bay Area celebrity chef robs 3 banks in one day, police said.
Woo! Sounds like the restaurant business is
Going great.
going through it.
Uh-huh.
This is a recession indicator.
That's
when
right.
celebrity chefs start robbing banks.
When scuba divers are robbing restaurants and restaurateurs are robbing banks, there is something wrong with the economy.
Something's going on. This is part of a larger issue.
Yes.
This was crazy because this chef, he robbed a bank like 5 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And like seems to have gotten kind of a slap on the wrist for it. He's like, yeah, my restaurant was failing, so I did what I had to do. And they're like, all right, don't do it again. And he's like, all right, now I'll rob 3 banks because I didn't do it again. I did it different this time. So
Bags of cash for my family.
yeah, cash for my family. Yeah. And it's always like robbing banks. Like you don't really get much out of it. They only have like less than 10K on hand.
And then they give you the whole
in cash. Yeah, it's like they've made it at this point. It's not like the old days. The amount of risk compared to the reward. Really
and with
not worth
inflation these days, you're not getting as much in your big bag of cash. You know, it doesn't spend like it used to.
it doesn't.
Yeah, you used to be able to have a large burlap sack with a dollar bill on the side, and people would get out of the way and say, "Come on, we'll give you whatever you want." Nowadays, we're like, I don't know. I guess we got to count it first.
What you got to do is you got to find a crypto influencer on Instagram and then kidnap him to get him to give you the keys to his coins.
That's right. And it always works out.
It always works out.
Especially in New York City.
It never turns out that the person is merely a crypto influencer and is actually really bad at crypto.
Yeah.
And doesn't have any.
Turns out they're all bullshitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Israel may defund own film awards after movie about Palestine wins top prize.
Oh, wow.
The most moral nation on earth.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like a pretty good movie. Like it's a drama film, not even a documentary. It's like a kind of like a comedy drama about like a Palestinian kid who's like he's in the West Bank.
Mm-hmm.
He's supposed to go on a field trip to like see the ocean for the first time, but like this specific kid gets denied by like Israeli border guards who are like notoriously fucking assholes. And then he decides to sneak into Israel and go to the ocean by himself. And there's like hijinks and shit. Anyway,
Can't have that.
even in Israel, the most like racist fucking country on earth, the cinema community was like, great movie.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to give it a top award. We're going to send it to the Oscars as our selection. And like the Israeli government's just like, no, we're going to shut this whole goddamn thing down. How dare you portray Palestinians as anything less than bloodthirsty murderers, even the children,
Yeah. I mean,
future terrorists.
think about what if like something that was extremely critical of Trump was a big award here. He'd probably be pretty upset by it and want to defund anyone who broadcasts the Oscars.
Yeah, I mean,
Which I believe is ABC, so he's already got them under his thumb.
a lot of people have been saying Israel is kind of the blueprint for a lot of stuff happening in the U.S. And yeah, there are a lot of parallels.
The one thing that's happening right now from the music industry is that a ton of artists are demanding that they remove all music from streaming platforms in Israel.
Yeah, it's like kind of a token gesture because VPNs and whatnot, but I like it. It's good. And a lot of artists are signing on. It's part of a larger like cultural boycott.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's one of the many ways that like apartheid in South Africa was taken down. It was just like you just cut these people off culturally from the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And
What do you mean we're the baddies? Why are people doing this?
yeah.
Woody Allen says Jeffrey Epstein couldn't have been nicer at dinners.
Oh, cool. Well, he's a great judge of character.
Exactly.
Woody Allen. And sounds like for Woody Allen, Jeffrey Epstein was just like any other, just like you or I.
A great dinner guest.
He's like, I didn't know about the crimes.
Yeah. He never brought them up.
He did say, he's like, I never saw him with anyone underage, which I'm sure for Woody Allen was disappointing.
Yeah.
And he said that his wife / stepdaughter, Sun Yi, found Prince Andrew to be a real dullard.
Okay.
Like, that guy's dumb as dirt. Boring as hell.
The brain trust going on at these dinners is something I definitely...
I mean, it sounds like he had Epstein, like his whole thing, especially after his 2008 arrest, was it was kind of clever. Just like throw parties all the time and get a bunch of like sort of influential interesting people. All
Oh, Jeff, what a nice guy.
the kind of people who just like hear there's like and apparently he would use Prince Andrew. He's like, you want to go to this dinner? He's like, well, who's gonna be there? Prince Andrew? Like, oh,
literally up to
sure,
Earth, yeah.
yeah. And he got like all of these people to basically like show up and kind of legitimize him, and of course appear in photos with him that would later turn out to be very embarrassing for them and kind of a permanent stain on their reputation.
Yeah, now what's odd about this one is that Woody Allen didn't need the help having this stain in reputation.
Woody Allen, kind of a notorious creep.
Yeah.
And not even really like a surprise.
No.
Like if you watch, I mean, obviously Annie Hall, that one hurts because that movie is like still kind of a masterpiece. But his movie Manhattan, Woody Allen's like 35 or 40 in this movie, and his character in the movie is dating a high school student. It's like, who could have seen this coming?
Yeah. Didn't Jerry Seinfeld do that too?
Yeah, Jerry Seinfeld at like the peak of Seinfeld, the show, he was like late 30s, was dating a high school student, and it really showed like how much things have changed because it was like reported on. It wasn't a secret, and they're like, "Wow,
He really likes
a real May December romance."
Yeah. Yikes. More yikes. Woman named Isis can't use license plate that reads "I am ISIS." DMV says.
Why the hell not? We defeated ISIS.
Yeah,
They're gone.
there's a band called ISIS. They had to change their name, and I think they might be back to ISIS now.
Yeah, I mean, Archer, the show, they had to change.
Yeah, that was the special agent
Yeah.
acronym.
I mean, it's an ancient name. It's from ancient Egypt.
Mhm.
It's a cool name. And those terrorists, they kind of ruined it. Over in like Europe, they always called him ISIL.
Yeah.
And I think that was the smart move because like there are a lot of people with that name. Adam Friedland was on the Majority Report this week, and he revealed that he has a cat named Isis.
Well,
And he's like, yeah, I think it's had the name before, but I'm like, I don't know, the timing doesn't really work.
Yeah,
Unless
the
that's a
timing's
really
really
fucking
weird,
old
yeah.
cat. But yeah,
big Archer fan.
this lady, her name's Isis, and she wants the world to know. And the California DMV won't let her be.
Damn.
Macron's to offer scientific evidence to U.S. court to prove Brigitte is a woman, lawyer says.
This is related to Candace Owens' lawsuit because they're suing Candace Owens for saying this about
Saying repeatedly over the years,
that Macron's wife is a man.
yeah,
Yeah.
a biological male. And they're suing over it. And I don't know what kind of evidence they're going to provide. Like, is she going to just like snap a picture of her cooch and I don't know, but it sounds like Candace Owens is in some trouble here.
Yeah, I would imagine.
It sounds like she's kind of fucked, and her lawyers are like, "Can we just drop this? Can we
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, but I mean, but again, there's another fucking weirdo, Brigitte Macron,
Yeah,
Woody Allen of France,
that's right.
gender
She was his
swap
teacher.
Yeah, that's another like. If people are like, "Oh, it's France," you don't understand. I'm like, I think this is pretty uncommon even in France.
Yeah.
I think most people would find this pretty fucking strange. She was like a married woman in her like mid 30s who left her family for like a 15-year-old boy. A 15-year-old boy who would turn out to go on to great things.
Yeah, she was a pretty good judge of character, I guess.
I guess she really bet on the right horse. What's that ex-husband up to these days?
Probably dead because he's old.
Yeah, probably. She's fucking old too.
Yeah.
And she has a real hatchet face. They've really
Oh, easy. They're going to bring a lawsuit against us.
No, this is objective fact. She's had some work done, but it's the kind of work that kind of just draws attention to itself. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to age ungracefully.
Well, anyways, enough weird relationship news.
Wild chimpanzees consume the equivalent of 2 cocktails a day in the form of boozy fruit, research
This
finds.
is one of my favorite clips. It's an old clip. But
From
it's great.
Wild Boys?
When they have the monkeys that are just like going around stealing people's drinks because
Yeah.
people leave them out.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of them, it's just fermented fruit that's been sitting out.
I mean, like, this is interesting.
They get drunk and they start like wobbling, falling over.
Yeah, like because they're just eating fruit throughout the day. They're eating like pounds and pounds and pounds of fruit, and it's all like it's like kombucha levels of alcohol, but they consume enough that for their body weight,
Yeah.
it adds up to around 2 cocktails a day, which is interesting because that is like the ideal amount of alcohol. Like you go beyond that, that's where the trouble starts. But when you're coasting at 2 drinks, like then you're good. You can drive.
You're in the zone.
You can drive a car. No, you
You can eat a banana. You can swing from the trees.
But that's when you're feeling good. You're not irrational. You're not stumbling and whatnot. and apparently that's we evolved. That's part of evolution.
Yeah,
is the 2 drinks, the perfect amount of drinks.
that's right.
No more than that. You going past 2 drinks, you're gonna
have a problem.
be a sad monkey.
The chimpanzees don't do it.
No.
Neither should you.
If you can't swing from a tree, it's time to stop.
That's right.
Switch to seltzer, buddy.
Buzzed swinging is drunk swinging. DC National Guard deployment to cost $200 million as soldiers pick up trash and blow leaves.
Well, it was worth every penny, I guess.
They could have just, for a lot cheaper, hired more janitorial staff.
Or just not fired the janitorial staff.
Yeah, more park rangers
Doge cuts
and employees and
yeah, they're like
a lot
really
cheaper.
It's really funny because they're like now, because this deployment has had no real effect on anything aside from these like city beautification things, they're actually really touting it. They're like, look at all this good stuff they did. And it's like, yeah, that used to be someone's job until you fired that person.
And now you could save $180 million by just filling up
paying
job roles.
Exponentially more money for the same job to be done by people who aren't specialized in that skill.
And I'm sure the National Guard members are loving being away from their families, states away to pick up trash.
I'm sure their bosses back at home are loving it.
Yeah.
Like I'm real curious. Like, I feel like in the past, like having National Guard on your resume, they're like, okay, well, this person is dependable.
Now you're like, what?
And now you're just like, are you going to fucking disappear for an extended period of time because the president wants to send you to the nearest major city?
Yeah.
This is a risk. And I just got to keep paying you?
No work getting done down at the elevator button factory. How are people going to go places?
Apparently, I don't know if this is accurate, but there was some talk that they were trying to keep the cost down by limiting deployments to like 29 days. Because when you hit 30 days,
it's like
something
you get triggers, some kind of payment.
Yeah, you get triggered for you get paid for something else. But if you go up to just 29 days, and then
like redoing,
you get to 29 days, they send you home, and then they bring you right back like a day later.
Yeah, it's like big corporations. They're like, oh, we're gonna put you on just under full time.
Yeah, like 39.5 hours a week.
Pay no health insurance or anything. Ugh. Anyways,
Zulu King challenges professor to stick fight.
Well, did the professor accept?
No, the professor's like old as shit. I mean, the king's like 50 and the professor's like 65. And like, I guess the king of Zulu, he felt that the professor insulted him in some way. Even though the professor, like, I read what he said and it didn't sound very insulting. He was just describing a situation.
Just even here, like, think about a professor talking to someone like an average American. They're going to get upset.
Yeah, I guess so. Zulu King looks really cool, though. He's got a big old leopard skin, and he wears sunglasses with it, which is a very cool look. He looks like a timeless African monarch, but wearing shades.
What's the stick look like?
I don't know. I think it's like a pretty big stick.
You'd imagine it'd be the best stick in the area.
Yeah, I bet they spend a while looking for the right stick. It's a tradition, fighting with sticks.
You're going to do like a pencil fight. He brings the best one, old reliable.
Yeah.
Bam! That's how you solve problems.
Yeah.
Florida OnlyFans star launches Goon for Good campaign to feed poor and hungry Americans. Let's help change America by doing this.
Gooning.
Yeah, gooning. Which is tough because Florida, a lot of the websites are locked down now.
Is OnlyFans? I know they.
I don't know about OnlyFans, but I think because you have to have like a credit card for OnlyFans, maybe that's like the workaround. Like you have to kind of be verified.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably it. But yeah, they're going after all the sites, Pornhub and whatnot, when like, yeah, we have very much moved into a OnlyFans era, which is like, it's crazy. This particular social influencer makes like $80 million.
Jesus Christ.
Off OnlyFans.
Well, they could spare some for the homeless.
Yeah, she's donating like just what she earns on OnlyFans on her birthday to charity. And it's like, it sounds like you could probably spare a lot more. You're like 23 years old and extremely fucking wealthy off of this shit.
Wow.
It's wild because it's like, yeah, women were being really exploited in a lot of ways, including financially, the way things worked before. And now some of them are just absolutely raking it in ways that are like kind of unfathomable.
Good for them.
I guess so. Like, yeah, get paid.
Sure.
And I mean, if I had the opportunity, if someone was willing to give me $80 million to show my coochie, I'd say, fuck it. Sure. Take a look.
Yeah,
take a look, y'all.
We're selling a printed out photo of Elliot's coochie on the merch store InternetTodayMerch.com.
Internet Today Cooks
$80 million.
Yes, 80 mil.
That's right.
Are you a rich enough dude?
Mm-hmm. Are you some kind of Saudi prince? You can pay for Elliot's silence right now and get a picture of his gooch or cooch, whichever one you want. Anyways, that's it for today's episode of Weekly Weird News. We will be back shortly.
Sorry about the audio. It's a very loud evening in this building.
Yeah. Anyways, now they'll notice it now that you've said it at the end.
Well, they were going to notice it.
InternetTodayMerch.com. Please check that out. Also, make sure you like the video. We really appreciate it. Leave a comment, reply to a comment, engage in the video in some way. Share it with a friend. Tell someone about the show. Thank you so much.
Tell a stranger.
Watch our episodes, our most recent episodes. We got Jimmy Kimmel getting kicked off the air. And then we have the other stuff from this week. You'll check it out and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.